Today, I would like to talk about our literacy crisis. In this country, it seems that education really doesn't matter anymore. And outside of the US, we're kind of viewed as stupid. I mean, it's been kind of a thing that's been happening for a while, but it's getting worse now. And I'm not talking about just words as large as onomatopoeia. I'm talking about stuff just as simple as the ABCs. Like, how do you not know your ABCs? Or 1, 2, 3s. It's like the first thing once you pop online from your 3-year infancy slumber. The fact of the matter is, 50% of adults read below a 6th grade level, or worse. And overall, the US is ranked 36 across the entire world when it comes to literacy. Not only that, when it comes to test scores, things are really bad there too. And there's a very big divide and inequality when it comes to these kinds of things. I mean, I didn't like tests as a kid because of the anxiety that it would create, but there's something bigger at play going on here. To get a better understanding of things, we'll go into detail of all of the reasons why America is illiterate. And to start things off, we're going to touch on the American education system because it's never been that good. America's education system has always been horrible about diversifying topics and ways to teach kids. And that stands true even down to the level of reading. Back in the early days, we would use phonics in order to go ahead and spell out words. And trust me, it worked. Because Hooked on Phonics had me up for hours on end. But to get a better understanding of the word and its meaning, we adapted the whole language approach, which kind of visualizes the word and makes it a little bit easier to understand. The only problem is, we turned around and flew phonics into a cliff and then just left it to die. And because of that disconnect, that's the reason why when most people visualize things, they can usually say the name of it, but when they turn around and actually read, they actually start to struggle. Then came the educational policies. The reason why educational policies have always been subpar is more of a cause and effect kind of thing. You see, back in the early 2000s, the No Child Left Behind Act was put into place. The No Child Left Behind Act was used in order to help kids of all backgrounds be on the same level. They also used a rating scale to go ahead and be able to keep track of all the schools and their test scores. But this came with a catch. If your school's test scores were very low, they were going to get blitzed in a very bad way. And at the time, it seemed like a really good idea. But as time went on, things started to look really bad. Because schools were so worried about getting murdered, they were more worried about standardized testing instead of real learning. That's the reason why in schools, when it came to teaching, they'd focus more on you getting more test ready than actually learning anything. And those policies did loosen up a little bit, but the damage was kind of already done. The next thing that came into play was the fact that people just didn't show up to school, or they left in the middle of it. Now there's a whole laundry list of reasons of why kids or just people in general didn't show up to school. Some walked home, others just wandered around their school just doing random side quests, and most skipped school to do the most unspeakable and unbearable things known to man. And while these things are not uncommon, the percentage of kids who automatically were absent from school spiked really high during COVID year. And it was pretty understandable because, it was COVID. Online learning became a thing of the future, and in-school learning became a thing of the past. But what really was unexpected was the fact that teachers became absent too. The percentage of teachers being absent spiked dramatically after 2020. And it wouldn't be unusual to see you and your teacher skipping school at the very same time. But in this very case, I wouldn't even blame them because they weren't getting paid enough to do it, and the stress of having to deal with everything that happened really took a toll on them. After that, one of the major reasons why our literacy rate is so bad, well, most of it has to do with our phones. For one, cheating is so much easier when you have a phone, and it makes it even more tempting to do so. When I was in school, I've seen the most creative ways you could cheat ever, and I can't imagine how it is now. AI exists, and now there's no need to even try. Distractions became commonplace as well. And I know teachers used to be fuming because most times the attention of the student wasn't focused on them. Most times, phones became so much of an issue that schools would try and confiscate them, but 9 times out of 10, it didn't work. Why, you may ask? Well, it will cause both student and teacher to get into a final boss battle at the end of the day. Not a very good ending. And last but not least, the disappearance of recess. Kids do need a little bit of a break, especially being inside a classroom for 8 hours of the day. Recess was actually part of elementary school a good majority of the time, and usually once you kind of got to the 6th grade, they pretty much chopped it off. Throughout middle school and high school, recess was not even existent, and the reason why they cut it off? Well, the pressure of standardized testing. But another small reason why that happened is because it says that teachers found watching students challenging? So you're telling me that the reason why I got pulled from recess because teachers couldn't understand the essence of fun? Yeah, I can't take this no more. This is not cool at all. But you might wonder to yourself, why is literacy important? Well, there's lots of reasons why. When you have a high literacy rate, certain bad things come from this. Very high unemployment rates, for example. I mean, if you turn around and can't read the application, you can't really fill it out and, work. Then it starts to become a domino effect that really affects your life. When you can't work, you can't turn around and provide for yourself or have the cash to do so, and then you get a reduced income, which ends up leaving you struggling and then becoming homeless, which then in turn makes your health very poor overall. When there's a high literacy rate, it improves the way you do things and creates more opportunities for yourself. You become more connected with other people, and life just becomes a little bit easier. So the biggest question of them all is, how do we solve this issue? Well, it definitely isn't easy, that's for sure. But the first thing I would put into place is bringing phonics right on back. I learned more from Pop Fox, Pig Wig, and Fat Cat more so than I did in middle school. Second, we should probably put a little bit of restriction with the phones because they're such a big distraction. I mean, phones can turn around and be a big resource as well, but they can also turn around and impact the way kids learn. And I'm not saying that teachers have to become Bowser from Super Mario Galaxy, but it would be best for kids to be focused when they're trying their best to learn. And last but not least, we need to turn around and make school fun again. That's the reason why recess should have never been taken away in the first place. And it's understandable that extracurriculars are supposed to kind of replace this, but that's kind of after school and not during school hours. And of course, all these things aren't going to get solved in one night, but over time, things will start to get a little bit better. What do you guys think? Put your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram, and if you guys have any great ideas, just shoot me a little email right here. Aside from that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.